Well, here goes. This is very new for me. I do not normally make videos. It's not something I'm used to. Maybe I'll make some more, maybe not. Something's happened recently that has led me to want to share some things, real life, that I hope maybe can help other people. I have been inspired by things I've seen on YouTube, videos I've seen. So I really feel like that if I can touch somebody, that's something. I've had tons of things across my mind over the last couple of months of maybe videos that could be made, but this really hit pretty hard, and that's why I want to stick to this for this right now. I have battled depression since I was probably 19 or 20. And I'm 52. So to me that's a pretty big deal, because in a lot of ways I feel like I have survived the worst part of it, because I've learned new ways of thinking, ways of finding a way out before I get that far. I've had friends that say they've never even had depression, don't know what it's like. And to those people, I say, praise God. If you never have had to know that feeling, then that is fantastic. But there's so many of us every day that get up, and they have, and to different degrees. It could be related to your past, your present, things you've been through, because we've all had things we've been through. And no matter how bad I can see things of the path I've had in my life and things I've been through, I always have to keep in the back of my mind that things I've been through haven't even been a touch in the bucket to what some people face every day, still face. I have been very blessed. I fought real hard and got myself to a very comfortable place in my life where I feel like I've got probably more control over my world than I ever have. But I also know that's only because of God and His hold on my life. I was saved at 16, approximately 16. My memory isn't that great, but I truly was saved. And so I have to wonder if maybe part of the reason why I've made it this far is because of that. I don't know. I'm not going to say that, because then it might look like I'm saying that people aren't saved, or haven't known that feeling, or know they have that relationship with Jesus Christ, why they may not still be here, because I don't necessarily believe that either, because part of the thing about depression is once it reaches a certain point on you, and you could be around 1,000 people and feel like nobody cares. You could have some of your best friends standing right at your side, and you feel like nobody cares. Nobody loves you. You're not worth it. It's debilitating in the sense that you literally don't want to breathe. I mean, the not wanting to get out of bed, the not wanting to function is probably some of the worst of it, but the thoughts that go through your head. I mean, there's very few people in my life that know this, but I have laid with a shotgun in my mouth. I have had a pistol that I've had in my presence, and almost degraded myself for not having what it took at the time to complete it. I look back now and I thank God that I didn't. I thank God that there was something that happened along the way that made it not a complete process. Recently I had a really good friend, someone I really care about, close family member, lost that battle. And it hits close to home because I have been fortunate enough to reach a point where I've had help and I have people in my life that I feel like care enough about me to kind of, in some small way, kind of watch for signs. But I also have learned ways that I can help myself. Because especially being alone so much, not having anyone around you can make it 100 times worse. And if you've lost someone to it, you can't blame yourself because you didn't call them enough, or you didn't talk to them enough, or you felt like you just weren't there enough, because that's not, I can't say that any one point in time that would have been a difference for me. We all go through things in life where we lose people we love, we lose jobs, we feel like a failure. And there have been so many times in my life where I felt like a failure, but I was able to, to reach a point where I stepped back up and came out of it. I mean, it can be something that happens just one day a week, where you're working on a Monday and just something happens and it catches you just right. And it may not even have been a big deal. It may have just been something that was small in the scheme of things. But what's small to some people is gigantic to others. We may find ourselves where we're at a point where, we lose a job, we lose a friend, someone we care about very greatly, all of a sudden doesn't want to have anything to do with us. People we love, we realize, really don't have the feelings for us that we hoped they would. We lose a parent. There's cancer. There's just everything. There's life. It happens around us every day, all day, and we have no control over it. But it's how we learn to deal with it ourselves within. I realized that after years and years of facing this, and some of the lowest lows I've had that I managed to come out of, that if I know that I'm getting there, if I sense that at some point that I know that I'm going deeper and I can find some way to talk myself out of it, I can put myself in a situation where I know that I can rethink things a little bit. Or if I just let it go and I just let myself continue to fall, there comes a point where you don't want to come out of it. There comes a point where, and it may be different for everyone. This has been my experience, and I guess that's why I'm doing this, because I don't know what other people go through. I don't know how other people feel. But I know once I get mentally to a certain point, I could care less. I don't want to come out of it, because I'm just, who cares? And I'm going to try to not use foul language on here, other than just the fact that it's a WTF kind of attitude. It's who really gives a care? Who cares? Who cares? Because I don't care, because I just don't care. I don't care what happens to me. I don't care about anything. And then there gets a point where you chemically allow yourself, well, you don't necessarily allow yourself, because once I've ever reached that point where it was just physically impossible to do anything, getting out of bed was a chore. Just breathing becomes a chore. Breathing becomes a chore. Not because I want it that way. I've had a time in my past where, someone that thought they understood made the comment that I was just self-pity. And this was a family member that loved me, I thought. And I still believe, they loved me. But they didn't understand what all was involved in it, mentally, physically. But I wasn't on a pity party. I could care less about myself. I could care less what other people felt. But I did feel worthless. I felt useless. I felt that if I left this world this very second, there would be no one would so much as even bat an eye. And that is where you reach that point where you don't want to hurt like that. And that is a kind of pain that's indescribable. It's painful, literally. You hurt. It's exhausting at times because you don't want to function. You don't care about your job. You don't care about anything. But it can also be self-perpetual, where you allow yourself to go so far down to where you mess up on your job. You don't show up to work. You can't get out of bed, so you don't want to show up to work. You don't go to work. You don't do anything. And then that just can create a cycle where you start going downhill. You lose your job. You lose friends. People don't understand. People don't have time to understand. You know, everybody has their own issues. Everybody gets up every day and has their own problems. They face their own issues. So oftentimes, even though people love us and they want to help and they say they'll be there, but they may not be able to. They may just physically have too much on their own plate. And so I can't think of how many times that I've done things where I've reached out to people in a way that I thought was going to be a red flag, but also thinking to myself, well, I wonder if I'm just creating a way for me to feel worse. Like, say, well, I know they're not going to call, or they're not going to want to do this, and they're not going to want to answer, and they're not going to want to hear what I have to say, because nothing I say is good. Nothing that I'm going to say is going to sound logical, but I just want to get it out. I want someone to hear what I have to say, but yet I don't. When you say things, sometimes, depending on who answers, you've got people in your life that are overly concerned. Then you got people that are like, well, they'll get over it. You know, they'll get past this hard time. I've got things to do. Can't blame them for that, because, you know, that's real. You know, you have a family. If you have a husband, a wife, children that you're trying to take care of, and this person's over here and they don't have any of that. And see, I'm 52. I've lost all my immediate family. My parents, my grandparents, my stepfather are all gone. So it's easy every day to get up and feel alone. Even though I have family and I have loved ones that I don't stay in contact with near enough. And then I feel guilty for that. But it's a safety net in my eyes that I keep people pushed away to a certain point to where I don't have to feel obligated to care. I don't have to feel obligated to be there when they need me. Not because I don't care, not because I don't love them, but it creates a stress level on me that I don't know if I'll be able to handle sometimes. Because it seems that any little thing at this age, any little thing is a stress. I get up every day at 2 o'clock for work. I don't have to be at work till 6 o'clock. I live 20 minutes from work. And people look at me like, why in the world would you get up at 2 o'clock? But when you're at work, you have people all day on you, wanting, doing, talking, and you have to stay focused on things all day. You know, you want to appear to be aware of your job. You have to know what's going on with your job. You have to focus to keep things going because you want your job to go well. And then if other people are facing things and they want to discuss them, then you want to feel like you're listening because you feel like you know what it's like not to be listened to. And so it's a very long day, seems like. And when I get home in the afternoons, up until recently, I felt like I constantly still had things to do. I have things I had to answer to. You know, when you have somebody that says, well, why didn't you this or why didn't you that? Can you get this done? Can you get that done? And you're barely able to keep a hold of your own stuff. And I'm at that age where I'm almost like, wow, I can't imagine at this point if I still had the family that I had 20 years ago with my former husband, and we were, I was helping raise 3 stepchildren, and back then it was just water off a duck's back. Things would come and go, even though I felt a high amount of stress, a lot. And a lot of emotional ups and downs because of all the changes and being teenagers, and you want to say and do the right thing because I was a school teacher for years, and you know that everything you say and do can affect somebody's life, because I still look back on things that people said to me as a child and how it still comes to my mind all these years later. And so I don't want to have that effect. So I used to think really long and hard before I would sit down and talk to them. And you see how they were going through so much more than even I had went through. I had a colorful childhood, and maybe one day I'll get into that. But as of now, I don't want to. But you just have so many things pulling on you all day. And so when I lay down at night, sometimes when I go to sit and watch TV, my mind's just not where it needs to be. My mind can't concentrate really well, or I can't concentrate because I still have things I have to do. And so many times, now that the time's changed, it's dark, I get sleepy. So I want to go to bed. So I go to bed between 6 and 7. And because of my sleep habits, I'm naturally just up early. So I get up and I get on my TV and I either watch a movie or a show, or I watch videos or preaching or inspirational type things. And that's my time. That is my Joe time. That is my... I'm not worried about anybody in the world but me for those 2 or 3 hours, whatever it is, 2, 3, 4, 2 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours that I'm sitting there waiting on needing to get in the shower. I'm not thinking about anybody but Joe. I'm not. If I want to watch it, I'm going to watch it. If I want to change a channel, I'm going to change it. But that's also my preparation time for the day. If I want, if I need to pray, really, I really am trying to get better at praying before I leave for work, because it does help. When you have a long list of things that need to be done, or you have a long list of things you haven't done that are past being needed done, then that just keeps weighing on you. That weighs on you, weighs very hard on you. And so you have to find a way and find a time where you can just have that time to yourself, so you can contemplate anything and everything you need to. I've reached a point where I'm happy where I'm at. I'm more satisfied with where I'm at right now in my life than I could probably say I've ever been in my entire life. I've always felt inadequate. I've always felt not good enough. And I've reached a point where it's just me. And I feel like I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I don't have to accept me, maybe. But I get up, I'm blessed. I have a wonderful job I go to. I do a job that I actually don't mind doing. We gripe about it all day at work, and we laugh and cut up, but at the end of the day, I can say that I'm happy in my job. I would be happy doing other things, but I'm happy in my job. I have friends that I know care about me. I have friends that I know that know enough about me now that if I say a certain thing or I do a certain thing, they might take an extra second and say, "Hey, Joe, are you having a good day? Are you okay? Are you going to be okay?" And that means more to me sometimes than anything else in this world, is being able to create a surrounding where you have people. When I was younger, I had people around me, but that didn't mean they cared about me. That didn't mean anything. But I believe God's brought people in my life over the last year or two that I sincerely feel like if I called or I asked, they would be there in some form or fashion. they would be there. They would stop their life for just a minute, for whatever, how much time, and they would say, Joe, is there anything I can do for you? And that by itself means the world. We don't always get what we want in this life. We don't always, find that the things that we want us. And that's tough to handle too. But if you can find a point where you can feel comfortable and have some control over your life, and just have people around you that somebody knows, let somebody know what you're battling. Tell somebody. If you've got any one person in your life that you feel like cares, and you feel like you can share things with that you wouldn't share with just anybody, personal things, somebody that you feel like wouldn't judge you, because that's the key, really, is finding someone or people in your life that you feel like won't judge you when you say things that are ridiculous. Because Lord knows I get up every day and I go to my job and I have people I'm around and I say ridiculous things. I say ridiculous things all day and just know it's ridiculous after I've said it and go on about my day, because apparently people have just learned me by now. And they either say, oh Lord, that's just Joe, or we need to find her some help. But I am blessed. I'm blessed beyond anything I could ever say. And if you have somebody in your life that you feel like is struggling, try to reach out. If you know they're struggling, let them know you love them. And if you don't have people in your life and you are struggling, don't feel like it's the end. Don't feel like that it won't get any better. Because you always have tomorrow. Tomorrow, you always have tomorrow. Today is not the end of the world. You could be, a friend told me the other day that he used to tell a friend, he's like, you go and do something really dumb and tomorrow they bring you a big check from Publishers Clearinghouse. You just don't know what tomorrow holds. There's a Christian song out that I absolutely love, and you just haven't seen it yet. No matter how high the mountain, you still need to get to the top. You still want to get to the top. Today's going to be a hard day. You might lay down at the end of the day and think, wow, I wish I wouldn't have had to live that, or I wish I could just erase that from my life. But you'll wake up tomorrow and it'll all be different. It's just like your job. If you're not there tomorrow, they will find somebody else to do your job. So don't feel like that it's over. No matter how much your brain and your mind and your heart tells you that it's not worth it, it is. It is worth it. It was worth all the pain just to be standing where I'm at in my life right now. And I can get into that later, but I fought really hard to get where I'm at. And it was only because I didn't give up. I let my lows be my lows. But I realized that there were going to be highs too. And you got to take the good with the bad. Life isn't going to be easy. Life is going to be extremely hard at times. You're going to lose people you love. And you will find out that you are not loved by those you love. You will find out that there's just jobs you're not going to be able to keep. There's people around you that are not going to like you the way you want to be liked. Your personality is not going to be what they want. But it's okay, because for one person that doesn't like you, there might be 5 that do. Move on. Who gives a crap what some people think? It's when we can allow ourselves to understand that other people's opinions mean nothing in the scheme of our life and our world, because that's not what God intended. God did not intend for us to be worried constantly about what other people feel. He wants us to feel good inside because of what He did for us. And I'm going to go ahead and stop for this for now. But anybody that listened, I appreciate it, and thank you for allowing me to have this conversation. Hope you have a very blessed day.